Hello, and welcome to episode 10 of European Battle Royale. We are getting pretty close to the end of the series, but that doesn't stop me from continuing, so let's get right into it. The Netherlands will be making an alliance with San Marino. I could either choose to merge the cyan and yellow alliances, which would kind of ruin the series, I think. So I'm not going to do that. I could have either one of these two countries betray their alliance, which I think I'm going to do, and I could have these two countries leave and create their own alliance, or join the Purple Alliance, neither of which I want to do. Instead, I'm actually going to have the Netherlands betray the Cyan Alliance. And the simple reason for that is that the Slavic Union gave them a lot of money to do that, so they wanted the money, so they did that. Greece will be invading Northwest. So yet another combat between Greece and Italy, but this time Italy is in an alliance and Greece is not. So this could be interesting, as Greece will start invading into Italy's territory over here. And actually, relatively quickly, German troops will start flowing through this little corridor into Italy's territory and freeing Italy, putting Greece in the back seat under attack. And remember that the purple and yellow alliances actually like each other a great deal. So that should hopefully explain why, although they're not part of the same alliance, the Turkish territories that Greece owns start getting invaded by the Slavic Union. They actually claim that it's because they want territory, which is the opposite of what you'd expect them to claim in the modern day, but this is like 40 years from now that this is taking place at this point, and the rules of the world have changed a lot, and it's better for them to claim that they're trying to take territory than it is for them to claim that they're working with the Purple Alliance. Italy will land troops in western Greece, which is less populated than the eastern parts, but overall Greece is getting overrun pretty dramatically as the Bosphorus is taken, and once again Greece makes a rallying cry basically saying, hey, we don't want the Bosphorus to be a war zone, but this time the only country that cares about that is the Slavic Union, who's invading them. And so Cyprus and Crete are both captured, as well as all these islands that I couldn't be bothered to fill in. And as the Slavic Union and the Purple Alliance, which is mostly just German and Italian troops, continue invading into Greece, Greece eventually must bite the bullet and surrender. And these are the new borders of southern Europe. Greece actually gets to maintain most of its original territories besides its islands. In fact, I think all of its original territory, so it's not that crippled. Also, Italy gave its old colony to Germany, and it got a new colony because Germany wanted some compensation for the war, and so now Germany has a coast on the Adriatic. Estonia will be invading West. Despite the good relations between the Purple and Yellow alliances, that's not the same for all of their members. And specifically, Estonia and Denmark kind of hate each other because Denmark hasn't been letting Estonia use whatever these straits are called to get their ships out, which means Estonia is having to rely on their allies to get ships to the rest of the world. Italy's been letting them through, and Spain's been making it hard on them. So Estonia is kind of struggling on that department. This is also a problem for the Slavic Union, but less so because of how much land they have and their military power. But because Estonia is so weak, even though they're allied with the Slavic Union, they're kind of taken advantage of by Denmark, and Denmark's making them pay a huge fee. And so they basically, with the backing of their allies, get support to declare war on Denmark. And the first thing they do is take this island, which, when Sweden owned it, was a pretty big military fortified thing. But when Denmark owns it, they basically just destroy any military things on it, which makes it easy to capture, and Estonia turns it into a military thing that would be really hard to take. As soon as this happens, Germany actually declares war on the Slavic Union, which might have been a mistake because as soon as they do so, they've basically precluded themselves from defending their ally in Sweden, and they've brought the entire Yellow Alliance into this and the entire Purple Alliance. And pretty quickly, both Italy and Sweden declare their neutrality, or not Sweden, both Italy and Switzerland declare their neutrality and basically say, we want nothing to do with this. But the Netherlands will start invading into Germany from the west, and they do surprisingly well because Germany wasn't really expecting that because they had good relations. Germany will quickly seize San Marino's colony over here, So San Marino will make some landings over here, which don't go well, but it requires Germany to keep most of their navy in the Adriatic, which they didn't want, and a lot of armies here to prevent San Marino from retaking it. And so, by the way, Italy, while not invading themselves, is letting Germany use their colony to start an invasion here. And of course, Greece will be getting in this war. And if you can infer from what color they are, they're actually joining the side of the Purple Alliance, which you might find surprising. But more of the land that got taken from them, and especially the land they value the most, which was the Turkish land, is now owned by the Slavic Union. And obviously, they want Crete and Cyprus more than anything else, and they pretty quickly seize those. What's going on between Estonia and Denmark, though? Well, Denmark is pretty well just keeping this divide, but this island at some point gets seized by Estonia, and Germany has to move some of their naval assets up to here over land, and in doing so allows for a San Marinan invasion of their colony to work out. They then start invading into Germany from here, being careful to not invade into the Italian colony, and therefore Italy doesn't attack them. But in a very surprising move, Vatican City will actually start invading into San Marino. Remember, they had a big breakdown in relations a few episodes ago. That's why Vatican City joined the Sign Alliance. The Sign Alliance wants nothing to do with this war. They want the other two alliances to weaken each other. But this is still happening. It allows for Germany to have some success over here, but not as much as they would like, as the San Marino government actually flees out of Italy and into their colony. The rest of San Marino is taken by Vatican City, who, before the war even ends, officially annexes it. San Marino's not out of the series yet because they still have land over here, but it's unlikely Vatican will ever give them Italy back. And they're still fighting against Germany, who is pretty much beating them, but they're still holding up surprisingly well. The Netherlands, on the other hand, is doing very well against Germany, cutting off the Kiel Canal and taking it, as Denmark is occupied elsewhere. Estonian ships try landing at Stockholm, which almost goes well, and there's a very big brigade. This is basically D-Day at this point, but for Estonia invading Denmark, of troops in Sweden. This just kind of overwhelms the Danish defenses, who were not expecting this, as most of the Swedish mainland gets taken, and they're cut off right over here because they don't have enough space to invade into the Norwegian parts without accidentally angering the Cyan Alliance, who is right now staying mostly neutral. So they just decide to keep what they have and continue going to war with Denmark. Meanwhile, the Netherlands is invading up the Kiel Canal, and this front line has been stalemated for basically since the war began, but now the Slavic Union is starting to gain on Germany, and Greece, although they've been doing pretty well, doesn't really want to get into any trouble. So they sign a peace agreement where they give back all of the territory that they took to the Slavic Union, besides Crete and Cyprus, which they get to keep now. With German forces losing in the east, San Marino is able to get themselves back together. I mean, this is really Croatia at this point, but I'm going to keep calling them San Marino because the government is run by people who are from San Marino. Danish troops finally begin to enter the mainland parts of Denmark. Remember, the capital is on Copenhagen, which also gets landed on by Estonia, forcing the Danish government to flee into Germany, as the Norwegian parts of Denmark are invaded into by Iceland with the permission of the Cyan Alliance. Who knows that the Purple Alliance isn't going to do anything about it. And pretty quickly, Germany actually decides independently to just leave the war of Denmark. So we'll see what happens there soon enough. But as part of them leaving the war, they have to continue to allow Danish troops or Dutch troops into Denmark, and eventually Denmark is fully captured, and so that will be the only casualty of this massive war. Okay, this is the war, or the outcome, I should say. So Germany actually annexes Denmark. They're the country that is allowed to do so. But in exchange, they give up Poland and a ridiculous amount of territory to the Dutch and some territory to San Marino. And the Vatican obviously isn't willing to give this up, and not wanting to spark a war with the Cyan Alliance. That's just what happens. Italy keeps their colony. Upon having acquired all of Italy, the Vatican, which we just rolled, actually renames themselves to the Papal States. Papal States will be invading northeast. San Marino will not be able to catch a break, as the Vatican pretty much immediately declares that they are illegal and shouldn't exist because they know that San Marino wants to take back the Vatican territory, and so they will launch an invasion, navally and by land, into San Marino, and pretty quickly all of San Marino is captured. The Yellow Alliance wants to have retribution, but they don't want a war with the Cyan Alliance, and they also don't really care. So, and also the Purple Alliance is basically making sure the Yellow Alliance can't do anything about it without also attacking them. And so San Marino is just going to have the rest of it annexed by the Slavic Union. And these are the new borders of what used to be San Marino. Portugal will be uniting, and there is only one country for them to unite with, so we don't have to even spin the wheel. They are uniting with France. I mean, they've had pretty good relations the whole series. I don't think this is unexpected. And I actually realized that we've been losing countries at an unprecedented rate, so I'm only going to do one more event this episode, even though this is going to lead to an extraordinarily short video. I just don't really want to go through the series too quickly. I'm planning for there still to be 12 episodes, in case you're curious. So let's do one more event and then end the episode. Russia will be making an alliance with the Netherlands. So this is the first alliance we've seen created in a long time, as Russia and the Netherlands actually agreed to make the Green Alliance, which is a completely different Green Alliance from the other one, obviously. The purpose of this alliance is that they wanted to leave they both wanted to leave the Yellow Alliance because they didn't like it anymore after what it did in the previous war, even though the Netherlands participated, and Russia was basically trying to get out of being a puppet. And so together they created the Green Alliance to basically make sure they don't immediately get destroyed. Although I don't know how successful that'll be. As much as I just said, let's do one more episode, one more event, let's do one more event. Finland will be invading west. So Finland will actually be betraying Iceland, and they are the ones who are effectively leaving the Cyan Alliance of the two of them. They basically want to ensure that they have Norwegian land, so they take the random land here. They take Svalbard, even though you can't see it. You just have to trust that they're taking it. And they begin their invasion into Norway, which is going pretty well until Estonia and Ukraine-Belarus, not Ukraine-Belarus, the Slavic Union, start their invasion of Finland, and that goes even better, taking all of the Russian parts of Finland. But Finland is focused on ending one war before they start another, so they start invading Icelandic territory, and eventually the Cyan Alliance comes together, and they start deciding that, no, actually Finland is the aggressor in this war, and therefore Iceland is the one that they're going to defend, because before that it was ambiguous. As soon as Estonia starts invading from Sweden, it's clear Finland is kind of in a tough situation. And once Helsinki starts being threatened, which it's not even being threatened right now, but it's getting closer to being threatened, so Finland will actually surrender quite early in order to avoid losing too much land. And these are the new borders of Northern Europe. As always, make sure to like the video and subscribe and leave a comment, yada yada yada, whatever. You get the gist. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.